On today's show, the Dallas Mavericks go down in overtime in a scene in Dallas that was something to behold, while Dirk Nowitzki makes his statement in Los Angeles on today's Locked On Mavs.
I'm here because I have to be here.
Explain yourself. Sorry.
You are Locked On Mavs.
Great, Rusty.
Your daily Dallas Mavericks podcast.
No one's dying.
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Dallas is going to get a seat at the table.
And welcome. You are locked on to the Dallas Mavericks, your team every day. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member covering the Dallas Mavericks for 10 years. Thanks for being an everyday or making Locked On Mavs your first listen. Joining me, as always, the post-game prodigy from the great Slightly Biased YouTube channel. What you got for me, Slightly Biased?
2 more Dallas Mavericks games, folks, and then it's All-Star break, and we cannot care about this team for a week. I'm so excited.
False. We will care about this team every day on Locked On Mavs through the All-Star break and continue on.
Okay.
Oh, man. Today's episode, we're going to get into the Mavs' loss in overtime, their second overtime game of the season. We'll talk about Kyrie making the All-Star game and his game. We'll talk about the mistakes late with Spencer Dinwiddie and some other things. Talk about some of the reasons why the Mavs lost this one. But let's start here slightly because it was just an insane contrast between what was happening here in Dallas and what's happening, we're recording this, full disclosure, during Lakers versus Jazz. They're up by 20. Luka is in a Lakers jersey, and just the scene there, seeing all of the Luka shirt jerseys passed out across everywhere, to see LeBron warming up in a 77 Luka shirt, to see just the scene there and the celebration there, to see how much people are welcoming him and excited for him to start playing. Contrast that with what we saw here in Dallas tonight, which was a good game by all regards, an overtime game where the Mavs had a chance at the end. Klay Thompson had almost had the game-winning shot. But what really was the story here tonight is the booing that happened at random times throughout this game. If you watch this game on the broadcast, you probably heard different times where there were boos that were heard out through the broadcast. One of them during a Kyrie free throw, which made no sense if you just thought it was during basketball. One of them, Patrick Dumont walking back to his seat like 9 minutes after halftime had ended, and a loud boo happened for him, the governor of the Mavericks. Another one happened when a fan who was sitting across the way from me was escorted out because, and he earlier had been seen on the video board saying "Fire Nico" or mouthing the words "Fire Nico," and he also had a huge sign. Him and a guy next to him had these huge signs that said "Fire Nico" on them. The Mavs have been kicking people out, not letting people in. Security's been asking people to turn your shirts inside out, things like that, not bring in certain signs. I also heard from a longtime fan of the Mavericks that said he'd been to like 90 games over the last calendar year, basically preseason, playoffs and everything. That there was a group of people right behind the section Cuban sits in that were chanting "Fire Nico," and Mark Cuban stands up, turns around, and says, "Shut the F up," to these fans. Now, that's from a fan, secondhand information. Do with it what you will. But the contrast of how celebratory it's what's happening right now in L.A., and yes, they played the Jazz, which everyone celebrates when you play the Jazz. But what is happening here in Dallas, to me, was massive, and it's capped off by Dirk Nowitzki deciding that he was going to go to L.A. for Luka Doncic's debut with the Lakers, and he's there right now, and he posted a tweet that says, I'm a Mav for life, but I got to support my guy, Luka. To me, Dirk is not going to come out and say some kind of statement and say, oh, it's abhorrent that the Mavs would give up on my guy and trade. He's never going to do that, ever. But he will make a statement, and his statement was, I will not be there. And from all that I've heard and people that I've asked, he was not at Anthony Davis's debut in Dallas. But he was there for Luka's debut in L.A. And to me, that was a huge statement from Dirk.
Well, at this point, for Dirk, what's the tie back here anymore? Like, the front office that you were here with is gone for the most part. I mean, Finley's still with the team. That's your guy from your playing days. I mean, Kid's still here. Like, that's your guy. But Cuban's on the outs pretty much. He doesn't talk anymore, right? Like, usually the most outspoken guy in the league has said, 2 sentences since this trade has happened. You have no real relationship, at least none that I really know of, with new ownership group. Patrick Dumont didn't even mention your name whenever he listed off some of the all-time greats and their work ethic and his horrible comments a couple days ago. I mean, this is I think Dirk is the encapsulation of Dallas sports. Like, the Dallas Mavs. This is how every Mav fan is feeling. I guarantee the moment 9:30 hit, it was a good game in Dallas. Like this was a good competitive basketball game that was fun to watch. Everyone turned their attention to the Mavs, to Luka and the Lakers. Everyone wanted to see it. Everyone wanted to see the debut. I'm
watching it right now.
Yeah, I have it on as well. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you. So it is like, it's just the most out of touch trade in the history of sports. Both in the fact that they did it, and then what they've said afterwards, and expecting the fans to be like, "Oh, what? Like, oh, Luka was 270. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's fine. I guess. Good trade." Like expecting that to be the case. It continues. Every day you wake up, this trade gets worse. It's not.
Yes.
It doesn't make any sense to me how we're over 10 days past this trade. There hasn't been like all right, this trade's happened, it's time to move on moment yet. It's every day is something worse for the Mavs. And it's going to get worse because I'm fully expecting tomorrow or the next day they'll say AD's out for the season. I promise you that's coming. That's just me speculating because there's no way they want to announce that right now. No way. Can you imagine them announcing that right now?
The night that Luka debuts.
They might do the reevaluation period and announce it then, but I'd be shocked if he plays a game again this season.
Or they sneak it in like right after All-Star or something like that, or during All-Star break or whatever. But what do you, as a longtime like diehard Mavs fan, literally named Slightly Biased, what do you think about the kicking out people from the arena, from not letting people in and things like that? Because for me, you look at some of that stuff, and the Mavs have the right to do whatever they want in their building. They have the right to not let people in for certain things and other things, and you can call it soft, but they have the right to do it. But I'm curious what you think as like a diehard Mavs fan and an outspoken one.
I mean, it's just embarrassing. It's embarrassing that it's going around that they're not putting fans on the Jumbotron, and the first time they do it, someone says "Fire Nico," and then they get kicked out of the stadium. No chants are allowed. I mean, you have to give the fans a space to let this stuff out. Like, it's going to fester. It's going to be there forever. And unfortunately, it's going to eventually come out on the players. Like, the moment that a losing streak starts or the moment that a rough first quarter happens, the fans are going to boo. They're going to boo. And it's going to feel as though they are booing the players. But that's not going to be what it is. It's going to just be letting out frustration and booing in general. You saw them boo Patrick Dumont when he was going to the stands or going to his seats. You saw them boo when fans are getting kicked out. That's going to bleed over. And people are going to start booing whenever they get frustrated because the Mavs are, I don't know what happened with Daniel Gafford tonight. I mean, I'm just going to be honest with you. We'll talk more about this in a bit. The Mavs are playing their ass off. They are. You have to give so much props to the players on the court. Yep. They're playing incredibly hard. They don't have much left. And it just feels inevitable that losing is going to start at some point. And I think the response is going to be brutal. And not giving the fans space to grieve and fully process this. It just speaks to how out of touch new ownership is with basketball. That was one of the things. Hate Cuban all you want. If you disagreed with him, he knew a thing or two. He knew a thing or two. He had his finger on the pulse. He knew how the fans were feeling. He was there every single game. Like, he was part of the fan base. He traveled with the team. Like, he was a fan of the team first and foremost. Yeah, he cared. Like, very passionate. Was he almost to a fault? Yes, he was. Too involved to a fault? Yes, he was. But you could never question whether or not he cared about the team. I mean, it's just Nico Harrison put himself before the team. The owners don't care about anything. And now fans are paying the price. It's the worst.
It's a tough spot, and it's a tough contrast between what's happening in LA right now with Luka. I'm literally looking at him at the free throw line. They're still up by 20 against the Jazz. How celebratory that is, how excited all the Lakers fans are, and all that, to see how everyone is talking about Luka as a Laker, and to see where the Mavs are right now, continuing to just lose guy after guy after guy to injury. It feels like the basketball gods have decided to rain fire on Mavericks fans. That they're now paying for the finals run, apparently, or paying for 2011, possibly, all the way back to then. It's brutal. Coming up, let's get into the Mavs versus Kings game. There was something that happened in this Mavs-Kings game that I want to get into, that the Mavs showed some great fight and showed us what this team is and hopefully can be. We'll get into that and more coming up. Today's episode of Locked On Mavs brought to you by Open Phone. If you are a small business owner, you know that you've been in situations where you're like, I have so much stuff going on. I just can't figure this out. I just can't hold two phones or figure out what I've got going on all the time. I can't answer every single call. I can't figure out. I took a call, but then I forgot what they said, and maybe I have to call them back, and that's embarrassing. If you're running a small business, you wear a lot of different hats like that. So for just $15 a month, the cost of a couple cups of coffee, you get complete transparency and visibility into everything happening with your business. Phone number, Open Phone. Works like this. You have an app on your phone or your computer that integrates with tools like HubSpot and hundreds of others. It also uses AI-powered call transcripts and summaries. This is a thing that's going to be great. As soon as you're done with the call, it gives you bullet points and it gives you action steps, stuff that you need. No problem. Automated messages are sent directly to your customer, ensuring you never miss an opportunity to engage. Right now, OpenPhone is offering 20% off your first 6 months when you go to openphone.com/LockedOnNBA. Again, that's openphone.com/LockedOnNBA, openphone.com/LockedOnNBA for 20% off 6 months. That's openphone.com/LockedOnNBA. And if you have any existing numbers with another service, OpenPhone will port them over at no extra charge.
Shut it down! Let's go home!
Thanks for hanging out with us on Locked On Mavs, being part of the show, part of the Raccoon Squad, what we call our listeners. We appreciate each and every one of you for listening every day. Shout out to everybody I saw at the game here tonight, Mavs fans. Man, several Mavs fans, season ticket holders and others say I'm done after this season. I'm going to finish out my tickets or I'm selling them back or whatever. There's just a lot of feelings going on here with this Mavs team. But slightly, they still play the games.
They do.
They still play the games. And this one was an interesting one. The Mavs' second overtime game of the season, they lose 129-128 to the Kings. And it came down to a final play where Klay hits a three off of an inbound with 10 seconds left. And then you go defense on the other end. And Spencer Dinwiddie and Max Christie double team DeMar DeRozan. DeMar DeRozan steps through because Dinwiddie was trying to take away baseline. So DeMar DeRozan goes middle and hits a floater. And then there's like 2 seconds left, and Dinwiddie got a charge right after that, and it ended right there. Tough one for our guy.
Well, you gotta go back even further because
Go back.
DeMar going up with that layup was going to be just a hilarious shacking a full moment if Spencer Dinwiddie didn't make one of the silliest double team mistakes I've ever seen. But yeah, I mean, that was a great inbound play by the Mavs to get Klay free for that look from three. Really, really nice sequence. Really good, like, end of game sequence there for the Mavs, trailing by 4, where you get the ball into Kyrie quickly off a flare screen. Three's not there. He attacks quickly, gets a layup. And then they luck out by DeMar DeRozan's brain shutting off. And instead of holding the ball, attempting a layup that goes through the bottom of the rim, they don't call it. But
that was wild. Yeah, that was wild. No call.
Insane. Then Klay gets that three, and all you have to do is get a stop. And it worked. Like, you double teamed. It was a great double by Christie. You double teamed DeRozan. He doesn't have his dribble on the baseline. You
all you got to do is crowd him.
Yep, you basically just forced DeMar DeRozan into a very, very difficult, and it's DeMar DeRozan. He had an incredible game. Maybe he makes it. A very, very difficult baseline jumper for the win. And Dinwiddie, when you're double teaming somebody on the baseline, you're basically triple teaming somebody because you have the baseline. Yeah. you seal them towards the baseline, and they have nowhere to go, especially once the dribble is picked up. What's he going to do? Sidestep to the baseline and attempt an impossible over the backboard shot? I don't get it. We talked about it on the show forever, and it's just not even worth my time ranting over anymore because they think Dinwiddie's a good defender, and they're going to have him out there. And that was just horrible. I mean, just horrible execution down the stretch there.
In this game, I almost give them just – they were running out of guys. Like, they just didn't have many more guys to choose from. It's like I almost give them the benefit of the doubt in this one. Who would you have put in instead?
I'd have to go back and look at who was out on the court. I don't remember off the top of my head.
You put together a 5. Christie, you'd put maybe Klay out there, Kessler, Omax. I mean – you're just running out of guys at this point. No PJ, no Lively.
Out there. Was
Gafford,
Najee on the court?
I don't remember.
I mean, like, there's 3 or 4 guys I'd rather have out there because, I mean, it was out of a timeout. If it were one of those things where, hey, you know, we needed Spence out there for offense, a ball handler, and the Kings just went up the court quickly. Okay, whatever, that happens. But out of a timeout, I just don't get it. And like we said all year, they think Dinwiddie is a defender. Like, they have him out there in defensive lineups.
All year we've called that out so many times on this show about that. Do you give the Mavs any credit for being in this game? Because I think that's where I am a little bit in this one. I still believe the Ted Lasso theory of I think you can win games and still lose, and I think you can lose games and still win. And the Mavs didn't have Anthony Davis. Lively's still out. Caleb Martin still hasn't played for the Mavs. You lose Gafford 2 minutes into the second quarter. He's your only big because Dwight Powell's still out. Maxey now plays for the Lakers. Kylo Ren Kelly can't play without fouling. It doesn't have the trust of the coach yet. You just don't have any options for this team that's huge. You don't have P.J. Washington either, so you don't have a lot of options there. And they lose him 2 minutes into the second quarter to an injury that just looked really tough. I mean, just brutal. I mean, there was talk of ACL up here in the media row because it did not look like it was a normal kind of knee thing. So we'll wait on that, and we'll wait, and everybody can talk about that. He was helped off the court. It did not look like he was great standing up from where he was either. And yeah, that's a brutal blow because Lively's still out for a little while. AD with whatever he has, however long he's going to be out. And Dwight Powell's still out. You literally have no more bigs besides Kylo and Kelly, and then that's it. And so then with Gafford gone, I think going against Jonas Valanciunas and Sabonis is just a beast rebounder. Finished with 15, yeah. And the Kings got 50 rebounds. The Mavs got 33. They got 13 offensive rebounds. The Mavs only got 5. They put out Jonas Valanciunas and Sabonis together. They got Jonas Valanciunas at the trade deadline, Sabonis together. They played double bigs just like the Rockets did, and the Mavs had to play small against it. And honestly, they held their own a little bit. They fouled out Jonas, and I give the Mavs some credit for being in an overtime game against this team having basically nothing. I mean, they were out-talented, I thought, in this game.
No, I'll give them tons of props, and I wanted to, and I was going to at the end of this game before that last play in overtime, give kids some flowers and some props because This team, every step of the way this season, there's been one thing after another, and it would have been easy to roll over at any point this season, and they just haven't done that. Watching them play, they've been competitive. I could just think of 2 games off the top of my head in the last month where I've been like, man, what was that? The Cavs game where, to be fair, they were without 7 of their 8 best players, but lost by 40 points. We're down 40 immediately. And that Pistons game right before the Luka trade, where it was like, man, they were just slow tonight.
Oh my God, I can't believe you just can say that, and that's a line of demarcation in time. That's it's like really AD and BC. It's like oh my God.
Post Luka trade, pre Luka trade.
I'm about to pass out what you just said after right before the Luka trade. That just makes no sense to me. I cannot believe I'm looking at Luka Doncic in a Lakers jersey playing next to LeBron James right now. It's still weird to me that LeBron plays in LA, honestly. Sometimes I still think, man, that's just so weird. Now it's Luka. God.
Have you been listening to the broadcast? It is pretty frustrating as a Mavs fan.
Luka Doncic, he's the greatest player in NBA history. Nobody's talking about him.
Yeah. I was like, oh, it's so great to see. It's like, weren't you guys calling him a fat slob 4 weeks ago on this network?
The switch from Reggie Miller on the TNT broadcast a couple days ago was great. Oh man, yeah.
But back to the Mavs. I think I got to applaud the effort of the guys on the court because they do play incredibly hard. I thought Kyrie gave you a Herculean. Mark said it on the broadcast, a Herculean effort in this game. 39 and 7, 9 rebounds for Kyrie. And Spence had his miscue late in the game defensively, but I thought he did play well and made some shots when you desperately needed someone to make shots. And Max Christie is a player. He's a guy.
Yes.
He is a player. Klay has played well recently. It's just
Christie.
I'm just gonna be honest with you guys, man. I think it's cooked. I do. I think it's cooked this year. I don't know where they end up or whatever, but it's just so much is being asked out of these guys. There's gonna come a point where they just can't hold up much longer. And if Gafford has to miss extended period of time, I actually don't know what you do. Do we know anything about Dwight Powell's injury? By the way,
that's the thing. It's been a hip thing, right? Which is, I don't know. Those things can be weird, and we haven't heard anything. But that's the thing about this Mavericks team is we just don't know about these injuries and the timelines or anything like that. They've been so vague about a lot of these things, but there's been so many. It's okay if you're vague with just one player's injury, but now it's been 6 or 7 players that you've been vague on all of them, and so we just don't know. I mean, PJ was questionable and then didn't play in this game. Lively. That the timeline's still kind of questionable. The only timeline we've heard has been reported by Shams, right? The 2 to 3 month one, and not from the Mavericks themselves.
Yeah,
without Gafford, let's say Gafford's out for, I don't know, the season. I don't know. Let's go full glass, completely empty. If he's out for the season, I'm with you. I don't know what they do. They just stay small because that's what they did in this game. They played Kyler Kelly for a minute 19. Is kid's gonna all of a sudden trust him to start playing? That hasn't happened so far.
He's not an option, realistically. If you're trying to win games, I mean, he's gonna have to be your option. But what's messed up is they have to, from my understanding, they either have to wait until March 1st or waive and stretch a player on their roster just to sign somebody. is how I understood. Even two-way guys is
Well, they have an open roster spot, so they could sign somebody, but to get a buyout guy, they have to.
No, I don't think they have the money.
The money stuff is complicated, and it is frustrating.
We'd have to get our guy Mavs CBA on the call, but yeah, man, I don't know if Gafford's out. I don't know. Like you don't have a lot of options because what's funny is even if you didn't do the Luka trade, let's just say Gafford gets hurt, still it's like you'd still have the same problems because Maxi's out with an injury. Let's not forget that. I forgot about that honestly. In the whole trade, it's like, oh yeah, Maxi has a broken foot.
I got a jump scare today. Open Instagram and it's Maxi Kleba with a Lakers jersey. He said, "Let's go, let's go Laker Nation." I'm like, oh my god,
I got a kick after the Mark Williams trade got rescinded. I saw Lakers accounts on the timeline. They're like, yeah, just watch some Maxi Kleba film. He's going to be huge for us down the stretch of the season. And I was like, yeah, been there, buddy. Been there.
If he's healthy, he will.
That's true. He's going to hit some big threes for you in a playoff game. You know that.
We defended Maxi all season.
Yep. You know there's going to be a playoff game where he hits 4 threes.
Him and Vando just wrecking shop as the small ball unit for them eventually. But
that kind of sounds nice defensively.
It kind of does. But yeah, if Gafford misses an extended amount of time, you just are stuck, and you're hoping the AD timeline is 2 weeks, and he comes back after All-Star. That's like, if you want to keep winning this season, that's what you're hoping. That's kind of it. That's what.
Is that a realistic possibility?
As reported, it's either 2 weeks or a month, right? Like that's the only thing that's been reported about it. The other thing has been, I talked about on the show earlier today. There's a lot of, like sports doctors that are on Twitter talking about he could be out for the season if he gets surgery or things like that, or out for 4 to 6 weeks. There's been all those, but nobody really knows what his injury is. And even AD didn't know what his injury was because he didn't think it was serious, and now all of a sudden it's serious. So even he didn't know. Coming up, let's get into some good contributions the Mavericks got. I thought Klay Thompson showed some real good things in this game, and Max Christie, another great one. You mentioned he's a player. What can he bring to the Mavs? Talk about that and more coming up.
Shut it down! Let's go home!
Thanks for hanging out with us on Locked On Mavs.
Wow.
We're still here for you every day.
If you don't believe you shouldn't be here.
He's gone. Slightly has left the building. Hold on. Should I leave too? There you go. No, leave again. Leave again. We'll just both be gone. Leave again. We're just both be
If you don't believe.
I believe in one thing. I believe in Max Christie. 15 points in every game he's played for the Mavs so far. At 15 in this one, he just continues to bring stuff every single time. 15 points, 4 boards, 3 assists, 2 steals. Kid had him as the inbounder on the play that Klay got the 3. That is trust right there. He put the 22-year-old on his birthday, put him as the inbounder. That shows a level of trust to me, and that stood out to me. It's like, all right, I think Max Christie can have some real opportunity with all these injuries to show some stuff for the Mavs and prove what he can be for them.
Yeah, I mean, I've been incredibly impressed by him, and this good play stretches back to his time with the Lakers. Ever since he became a starter for them, he's just been filling it up and playing really good basketball, and that is some of the excitement. He plays really hard defensively. I think he immediately is one of, if not the best, perimeter defender on the Dallas Mavericks. Probably the best defender on the team, not named Anthony Davis or Dereck Lively. And also, Gafford's having an incredible season defensively, especially over the last month. I really hope that this is the best case scenario for him injury-wise. But yeah, Christie, I mean, there's enough flashes and tough shots he makes every now and then. We're like, whoa.
Yeah.
Okay. Where is that? Like, what do I see? He's 21 years old, just turned 22. Is today's birthday?
Today's birthday. Turned 22 today.
Happy birthday, 22.
I don't know about you. Today. Max Christie's feeling 22 slightly.
Max Christie's feeling 22. Yeah, I mean, I've seen people say, could he be Shea? I don't know where that came from.
Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. It's just like the guy that kind of comes out of nowhere to some to fans is like, and all of a sudden becomes a MVP. I don't think he's going to be that, but I don't know.
I've seen Mikal Bridges. That feels very optimistic, but
I don't know. Is it?
I think it could be this was the best case scenario for what we thought we could get best case scenario out of Quentin Grimes every night. Like a consistent, double-digit score, shoots well from 3, defense is there every single game. And those are very valuable players in the league, and those are guys who get paid a lot of money in the league. So I'm excited for him. I'm excited to have him on the roster. And this is one of the things about Seasons from Hell is now a guy like Max Christie gets traded midseason to a team that's dying left and right, and in a lot of different ways. And now he gets 35 minutes, and he gets some more on-ball reps, and this and that happens, and it changes the outlook of his career in a lot of ways. So I'm interested to see how this continues to play out for him.
Speaking of opportunities, for everyone asking and clamoring for Omax minutes, you're getting it. It's 34. At center. It's at center, but you're getting him, and he finished with 16 points.
Yeah, wow.
34 minutes for Omax. I mean, you didn't want it at center, but at least you're getting some, and at least he's showing you some stuff, showing some more confidence, dribbling and attacking and things like that. But it's weird 21, that it's at center.
minus 21, and that is because the Mavs the Mavs, bless their hearts, man, they were just fighting tooth and nail on the glass, and especially against that double big lineup the Kings rolled out there. But yeah, I thought Omax is just the three, man. It's just can that three look more comfortable? Can it just look like a shot he's more willing to take? That's what it boils down to for him. So
it does.
That's another thing. I mean, if things look like they're going the way they're going, I mean, Omax is just going to get small ball 5 minutes. That's a thing that you just tinker with and toy with.
That's the choice that Jason Kidd has.
Yeah, that's literally. I mean, it's that and Kessler Edwards. Can you imagine telling someone that before the season started, man? That like Kessler Edwards is going to get. It's like Kessler Edwards is playing by February 10th. You'd be like, okay, wing just guy can defend. Like,
oh my gosh,
he must have had like a really like Derek Jones Jr. type. It's like actually no, he's playing 5.
No, he's playing the 5 actually.
Oh,
is it working? No, not really. But they're still doing it.
No, because Anthony Davis is hurt. Wait, what? What the hell's going on?
What? Hold on, Luka and AD. Oh no, actually, are you sitting? You better be sitting down for this.
Yeah.
Just got to laugh through it, man. It just doesn't make any sense. Klay Thompson, 19 points. Also, if you told that same person, Klay Thompson is on the Mavericks.
Yeah.
Hit a go-ahead 3 with 10 seconds left in this overtime game.
That was a really good play by the Mavs. And Klay feels like he feels a little bit more rejuvenated to me lately.
Yeah, he's more aggressive for sure.
And I feel like, I'm not going to read into that any way that people might interpret me as saying I'm reading into that. I'm thinking that that's a vet sensing the locker room and just feeling like, all right, I need to get going. And the team is kind of looking for somebody to do something. So shout out to Klay for this past couple of weeks for him.
Yeah, Klay and Kyrie being warriors.
Yeah.
Klay was quite literally, Kyrie just figuratively.
I'm just true. I really am very impressed by Kyrie tonight. I really applaud his effort. He deserved to win.
He did deserve. It's tough, man. We're just
44 minutes. It's just not right for him. It just isn't.
That's the thing that's going to keep wearing on them is if the longer AD is out, the more it's going to be asked of Kyrie, and then that's just a war of attrition.
That is. So I was wondering this. Do you reach a point where, I mean, it's tough with the All-Star break coming up, but if it's like, all right, we talked to some doctors. They think a surgery would end the season for Kyrie, but he gets right and comes in next year probably in a little bit better shape than he would otherwise. AD surgery out for the year, but, from what I saw online, if AD does get a surgery, from everything they said, like he's pretty much good afterwards. Did you see the same things?
That he's good for next year?
Yeah, like this won't be
good
something
for life.
That lingers. Well, I hope so. I mean, who knows? We might have seen 3/4 of Anthony Davis basketball. Like, is he traded in the offseason?
Listen, Anthony Davis has been dealing with abductor injuries since New Orleans. I won't believe a single doctor. They could have all the medical degrees ever. I'm just not going to. The way that the season has gone, I'm just not going to believe anybody. Because the one thing I do believe about this Maverick season, if something bad can happen, it will.
Oh, yeah.
And it has so far, right? I mean,
yeah. I would make the joke like, can we get much lower? I've stopped saying that because the answer is yes.
No point. There's no point because it is true. They're kicking fans out.
It doesn't feel possible, but the answer is absolutely can get
worse. The guy that has a statue outside of these doors went to LA to watch a Lakers game instead of watching the Mavericks tonight in his hometown. Like, I'll go back to
I'm
that.
gonna tell you guys, it's gonna get more difficult. Like, it's going to get more difficult. I'm just telling you right now. The Lakers are going to go on a run. They're going to look really good. The Mavericks are going to just be decimated by injuries, and it's going to catch up to them. Like, they've treaded water for a while now, and shout out to them.
The Lakers look good against the Jazz. We'll see.
Yeah, but they've been playing great for a while now.
Yeah. They don't have AD, though.
True.
Guys, thanks for hanging out with us on Locked On Mavs. Check the QR code for different ways to follow the show. We'll still be here. We'll be your therapy every single day. We'll be your therapy here on Locked On Mavs. Me and Isaac, me and Slightly on post games. I'm gonna make Slightly do every single dang post game, and he's gonna have to do every single one of these. Guys, thanks for hanging out with us on Locked On Mavs. Peace out. Boom.
My eye's been twitching ever since the trade.
Just won't stop.